Well, hey guys, welcome to another live stream here on this Wednesday morning. Hope you guys are doing well, and I'd love to know where you're tuning in from, where you're watching from today. I see we've got some guys really kind of covering all the different areas from volunteer to worship tech guys, even some worship pastors. Maybe you're like myself. Maybe you're a do-it-all kind of worship pastor. You cover everything from leading music to running the website. But I'm glad to have you on the live stream today. Well, I'm telling you guys, I don't know what happens here, but every time that I'm doing this live, my ATEM, it like freaks out. It doesn't like whatever I'm doing here. Hold on just a second. So let me know in the comments. Can you hear me okay? Is everything looking better now? We'll try that and see how that works. Oh, I hope you're doing good on this Wednesday. Today on the live stream, we got a lot to do. But really, I would love to just chat with you guys and see if there's any, worship and tech questions you have. My job is one that, like I said, it kind of covers everything from planning everything about the services to training and mentoring people to figuring out why somebody's computer isn't working. So I've learned a lot of things not to do and some things that have helped me along the way. So if you have questions, drop them in the chat and let's help each other out as a community. Also, I've got some little worship and tech news, that things that I've seen in the last couple weeks that just caught my eye, that I think are cool, that trends maybe we can keep an eye on. And also, we're going to review a couple of live streams today as well. So if you would like your church's live stream reviewed, probably in like the next time we do a live stream, because we've already got some set up for this one, there's a link in the description of this video that you can go on and fill out. It's just a Google form, but it gives me a little more information than just like posting a link to your stream. So let's see who is jumping into the chat right now. Who is here with us today? We have Brandon from Texas. Very good. Brandon, what part of Texas? I wonder where you're from. Doug says, yo, Doug. What I do? Extreme Boy says, hi from Rochester, New York. Thank you, Vincent. Looks and sounds great. Good. I'm glad I got it figured out there for a second. There's a small buzz, but it's not a big deal. Doug, yeah, I'll tell you what that small buzz is. It is my MacBook Pro that is really old, and the fan goes like crazy. So, yeah, it's kind of annoying. I'm waiting. I'm excited. Will the new MacBook Pro M1Xs be released in September? I doubt it, but I would really love if they would release them, because I can't bring myself to get one of the current M1s. They only do one external display, and I'm not doing the whole dongle life. Like, I hate that. So speaking of that, you guys want to see how everything's kind of set up in here and how I'm doing these live streams every week? Let's do that. I'm going to have to unplug my headphones, but yeah, I'll grab the camera and I'll show you kind of how this is all hooked up. Just a minute. I'm coming. All right. Let's see. I'd really like to plug back in, make sure you can hear me. And I'll show you what we got going here. Nothing like live streaming. Okay. So this main shot that you see is, if I switch over here, that is just a Panasonic G7, and it's got a 12-35 lens on it. And I love that lens. Love that camera for the price. This camera that you see right here, that is just my little secondary angle that I can use for whatever, is a GH5 with a 25 mil lens on it. And it doesn't have stabilization on the lens, but it does on the camera, which is great for stuff like this. So I'll show you kind of how I have everything. Speaking of the dongle life, I love on the old MacBooks, you don't have to have dongles for everything. Okay, so let's see here. All right, so the way we've got this thing all ran is lots of cables coming out of my MacBook Pro. We got 2 external displays, 1 USB hub, and a headphone out. And so if I back up, I'll give you a bigger picture of what is happening here. Come here, headphone extension cable. All right, so you've got my MacBook Pro with the G7 there. Just a little screen for multi-view. And then what's happening is we're using the ATEM Mini Pro here, and I've got 4 inputs running on it. So I've got 2 cameras and 2 coming from my MacBook Pro. One is using H2R graphics with a chroma, and so that is on camera 1 over there, which currently nothing is on, but that's like the live chat and stuff. Wow, sorry, you're getting that tunnel. And the other is actually ProPresenter 6. And so H2R Graphics is a cool little free plugin that you can use to do stuff like this. Audio-wise, sorry guys, I know this is like really just off the cuff, but I'm running into this old Tascam unit that has multiple XLRs and headphones and line outs back into the ATEM. What's cool about it is you can it has some built-in stuff where you can set delays, you can do limiting, compressing, and hopefully you could hear me. Sorry, I was trying to talk loud, but yeah, it's a cool little unit that it'll do phantom power and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's kind of the setup. I'm using for lighting, it's GVM, Great Video Maker lights. One with a light box that is from Nice Photo that I love, and then this other one is just like a little dish light that is pretty handy as well. So let's see who else is jumping in the chat today. We've got Chuck from Kentucky. Hey Chuck. And Ruben da Silva from South Africa. It just floors me every time, these you guys that are just joining from all around the world. So awesome. Brandon from Canyon Lake. And then we've got Joshua from Frisco, Texas. We'll be reviewing Josh's live stream a little bit later. And actually, cool story, Josh and his other tech director, Josh, drove up from Frisco, Texas last Wednesday, I think a week ago, maybe. And got to kind of just walk around our building and see how we're doing stuff. So that was super cool. Vincent from Stark, Florida, just south of Jacksonville. He's drummer, media tech, volunteer. Awesome. Thanks for always hopping on, Vincent. It's great to have you. Yeah. So I think before we jump into too much, I do want to tell you guys about the sponsor of today's live stream. I'm just kidding. It's not really sponsored, but I do have an affiliate membership with Soundstripe. I love Soundstripe. And I would love to know, what do you use for all of your licensable music that you can either use in your church's live streams or whatever you really want to do? Are you using Artlist? Are you using MusicBed? I mean, we have used Soundstripe now for years, and it's the most cost effective in my opinion. And it has great music. So just know that if you use the code Ryland, you get 10% off your subscription. I think that's for the whole year. And so I love Soundstripe. It's got great tunes. The stuff you were hearing on the countdown is from there. I've linked some of the playlists that I have made that your church could use. We got pre-service contemporary, pre-service modern. So, they can fit whatever style your kind of church is. And I have a whole video outlining these different, the content that you can find on Soundstripe. But I think it's very affordable, the value is high. So there you go. there's a little plug for Soundstripe. What do you guys use? I've been really happy with it, but I'm not like married to it necessarily. So if there is other good things there, I'm open to it. So Extreme Sports and More says he uses Upbeat just for YouTube and Facebook. It's free. Oh, well, in the church world, we always like free, don't we? So maybe I'll look into that. Upbeat. This last week has been a busy one. It's been a really good one. I don't know if you got to check out my last video. Well, actually, I did a vlog, but we did. There's nothing in this. Don't worry. I did a little video with the Dji Rs2 Pro Combo with the Raven Eye tracking and all the goodies. So last week I set that all up and just wanted to test and see. You know, everybody's always kind of wondered, like, is active tracking good enough to work in a live situation? And so I did some tests last week, released that video. You can go watch it, where I kind of dive into actually like really testing it. But then I did this Sunday. I ended up like being pleasantly surprised with it, that I thought, you know what, we're going to try this on a Sunday morning. So we took our roaming cam, and I'll show you here. Our student pastor was preaching, and he didn't really move as much as I thought he would. This is a screen grab off my phone, but you can see that box, it stayed with him extremely well. The tracking was not as smooth as I would probably want. You can see here the active track speed was 2. But the only thing that I didn't really love is that I thought active track was going to keep him in the center the whole time. Like, I thought that's what it did, and maybe that's a setting that I don't know about. So if you know, tell me. But it would kind of start drifting just a little. Like, you can see it's drifting a little there, and I don't know if that's because it senses him turning or something. But it never lost him. We even did a video with the lights going pretty much out, and he went and sat over on the side, and it tracked over to where he was sitting in the dark, and it was just like waiting. And I think it waited for about a minute, and then it finally gave up for him to get back up, and it lost him, and I had to reacquire with the phone. But for a head-to-toe shot, we're going to try it one more time this week with our pastor. If you don't have somebody that can man it, there's a hair floating in the air. This might be a really viable option. And so watch my other video about this. Let me know what you think, if it is something that's usable. We tried using it on a tighter, like, waist up shot, and it's just, with that focal length, it was just too long of a focal length for the motors to be so finely adjusting things. So I don't know. It's an interesting thought, though. You know, I'm always trying to figure out new tech that we can implement and use it really well. So, all right, let's get to a couple of the Q&As before we jump into Worship and Tech news. So Dave Strucken, I see one here. He says, "Hi, Russell." That is my last name, just FYI. I answer to it, Ryland Russell, but yeah, just so you know. "Learning a lot from the live streams. I've been wanting to ask you, how do you sync video between the cameras on cable and the cameras on wireless transmission?" Okay. Yeah, so you're asking, we've got 2 wireless cameras, and then we have 6 other cameras that are running either HDMI input into our ATEMs or SDI. So that is a good question. I used to be really confused because I always heard the ATEMs had this frame sync thing. And in my mind, that meant like somehow they're synchronizing the cameras. But that's not true. All frame sync is doing is getting rid of gen lock. So you don't have half of a frame of one camera and half of a frame of another camera when you switch and stuff like that. So you have to think about that for sure. One thing that helps us is that we run all of the same type of camera. So they're all of the Panasonic Lumix cameras, and that helps because we're not fighting, between different brands, latency, differences. The other thing that we did notice is that we have one wireless HDMI transmitter that has a lot more latency than our Teradek. So we have two different wireless transmitters. We have a Vaxis Atom 500. I have another video on my channel. I think I put it in the community tab yesterday, just comparing those two different guys. The Vaxis has a lot more latency. The Teradek is right in sync with our other cameras. So we don't have to worry about that. And we just keep our other Vaxis one on a really wide shot. It's our cable cam. So if you ever examine our stream and watch the cable cam, you'll notice that like the drums and stuff are a little bit behind, but it's such a wide shot that you can kind of get away with it. So does that make sense, Dave? Hopefully it does. Hopefully that's what you were asking. I saw another question up here from Extreme Boy. He says, have you guys ever considered the ATEM Mini Extreme? The ATEM Mini Extreme is really intriguing. Like, it can do so much, right? I'm waiting because I have to believe that Blackmagic is going to take what they've done in these ATEM Mini Pros and the ATEM Mini Extreme and make it into, like, take that over to the television studio line. Because I think the things about the Extreme, unless I'm mistaken, that we wouldn't be able to do is, I don't think it has an aux send, and it's over HDMI if it does. So we utilize the aux sends of our ATEMs. And I don't really need Super Source in the Worship Center. Like for this kind of thing, for streaming here, the Super Source would be cool. Bring in live guests and all that kind of thing. But, and then just having all the converters for the SDI sends on the ATEM Mini Extreme would be kind of annoying. The other thing is that for audio, I like that we can go balanced audio right into the ATEM Television Studio, where the ATEM Mini Extreme is just like an 1/8 inch, line in input. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. But yeah, I mean, it's an awesome switcher. The ATEM Mini Extreme is great. What about the Hollyland Mars? Have you ever considered those? That's a great question. And yes, I actually got the Mars 400S. He's talking about a wireless HDMI transmitter. And I have considered those. The problem that you're going to run into with the Mars is that it rounds the frame rate. So if you're sending out 1080p at 2997 like we do, it was rounding it to 30 exactly. So I couldn't figure out. I plugged it in. Now all that to say, it doesn't matter if you're using an ATEM Mini Pro or an ATEM Mini Extreme, something with converters built in, because it'll do that. It'll adjust for that. But for us, we use the ATEM Television Studio HD, and I think a lot of their other bigger switchers don't have scalers built in, and so they're real picky about it being the exact frame rate. So I plugged it into a decimator, and it said it was exactly 30 frames per second. So I had to send it back. I actually got on support with Hollyland, and they said all of their units do that until you go up to the Cosmo series of wireless transmitters, which I think those start around $600 or $700, maybe $800 actually. And at that point, I was like, you know what? Back then, the Teradek Ace 500 was only $999. And I went to look yesterday, and it's gone up to like $1,400. So I don't know if that's like a chip shortage thing that they're like, we can get more for these, so let's charge more. But or maybe I just got them on sale. So Vincent asks, how are you using ProPresenter 7 for your backing tracks? Are you separating your click and guide and tracks? Are your tracks stereo or mono? Thanks. So I've had a lot of questions about that because I think some people saw that on another ProPresenter video I did, and we've ran our tracks from ProPresenter 7, actually ProPresenter 6 for many years now. And I am of the opinion, in our setting at least, that I want to take a lot of the responsibility off of our audio engineers to remix a bunch of other channels that are just tracks. And we don't change the format of the song within the song when we do it on a Sunday. So I let the Spirit lead me as I'm preparing for the service, and kind of guide me on how I want to do the song. Usually it's pretty standard how the song is done, but if I'm changing anything, I'm changing it ahead of time. And then what I do is I bounce that down into an MP3. So the left channel is the click and the guide, and then right channel is all of the tracks mixed down into one side of the file. And then I take that into ProPresenter, and you can use audio a number of ways in ProPresenter, but we use the timeline function. So typically that's how we're doing it. And it works really well. For us, the only thing is that you have to have a lot of trust in your ProPresenter 7 operators because you're at their mercy unless you automate to go through every song and all that kind of stuff. But I don't like doing that. I like to have space between songs. If we do want to repeat a chorus or something like that, the operator can do it. But a lot of times we'll end a song and I'm just like, and they know like, okay, Ryland's shaking his head, so it's time for us to click play on the next timeline. Which, I know I could automate all that with like things at my feet and send a MIDI note to the back and have it automatically fire through Ableton and all these things. And it's just more stuff to go wrong and for me to forget to set up on a Sunday morning. So Dave has a follow-up question. He says, thanks for answering my question. Would it help if I used an Allen Avionics video delay per camera on wire before getting to the switcher to match the wireless cameras? Dave, if you're not ever going to do image magnification live on the screens, then you can do some video delaying. I would say it's going to be always cheaper to do a good wireless system for your cameras that's going to be closer to zero latency than it is going to be to delay every single other video signal. So Roland makes the cheapest one that I can find for video delay. It's about $550, and after the stream I'll find it and I'll link it in the description if you want to look at it. It can delay, I think, up to like 3 frames of video. Delaying video is much harder than delaying audio. So like on this setup right here, I have, I think, 4 frames of delay in the A10, which is usually around 100 milliseconds. On this, it would be closer to 120 milliseconds. So I don't know if I'm in sync or not, hopefully. But that would be my opinion, is that it'd be more cost effective to get a really good wireless HDMI. So those are all great questions, guys. And I love just like talking about that kind of stuff. And if you have an answer for somebody that is asking a question, chime in the chat. So I do want to see, I'm curious. I don't know if you guys knew, but like once you get over 1,000 subscribers, you can monetize your channel. And I have successfully done that. So guys, I'm raking in the cash. No. But you can do these super chats, and I'm about to just test it and see. Oh, I'm not paying myself that much. Let's see. Okay. What happened? I'm on my other account, and I'm curious if this pops up. I gotta do my Apple Pay, because then H2R Graphics is supposed to be able to do this highlighting thing, and I want to see if it pops up automatically here. You guys having a good Wednesday? We'll be getting ready for rehearsal here in just a little bit. Okay, I saw it pop up in the chat there. And then we're about to get some worship and tech news. Some fun stuff. Well, let's see. Oh, okay, so it did. It automatically popped up. Nice. YouTube just took 20 cents of my money for me to test that. Oh, gosh. All right, well, I think it is time for some worship and tech news. Something that I found interesting the other day on the church sound and media text, I think it was this little contraption that they built for their drum booth. I know many churches have a drum booth. We are lucky enough not to have a drum booth. We just have a pretty dead room. What I thought was cool about this one is they lined the ceiling of their drum booth with LED tape. And so they can, do any color. And I've always thought, drum booths are so hard for live stream camera work because they get hot. So you don't want to put like a light in there that's going to emit a bunch of heat, but they're also like spaces at a premium. But the drummers are always so dark. And so I thought this was an interesting solution, kind of diffusing the LED tape on the top. I would say, though, with that much LED tape, it starts putting off some heat. Like, I don't know if you guys have noticed that. If you do a ton of LED tape, it gets pretty toasty. And so hopefully they've got a fan in there for the drummer. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Another one that I saw was this Worship in the Round that someone shared. It looks like they decided to, and I have a video on my channel about how we've set up before for our Worship in the Round, but this church did the four corners kind of thing, and then they did this hanging LED screen, which is really cool. I'm sure they just rented it or repurposed what they had, but they've got on each corner of the stage a speaker, and then I liked how they showed, it looks like in ProPresenter, they're just running one big image that is sending a part of that image to each of the strips. Or I'm not sure how that's configured. I've never run that kind of setup. So, but really cool Worship in the Round kind of setup. The speakers are pretty low. But I mean, it did get above everybody's heads. So that's always the weird thing when you're doing Worship in the Round is like, how do you show lyrics? Because nobody's facing the same way they're always facing. Sound, I feel like we've been able to get away with just using our existing system. But yeah, there was another one that I want to pull up over here that I saw. That was really a neat thing that I think a lot of us are interested in doing. It was hallway signage stuff. And this came from Drew Middlebrooks. And he shared how they're using these just standard screens and running their hallway signage on them and looping videos and running content on them with these little devices that I think were like $40 on Amazon. Let's see if I can find it here. No, I don't want you to play. No, go away. We currently run all of our TVs off SDI, but for certain situations, for what I could see using these for is, I love how they're just displaying photos, almost like canvas art, because we have a church photography team and I would love to display their work. Like, wouldn't it be cool to show last week's photos, that your people took, on those screens. And so I will link to that in the description. I can't find it right now. That little box, but it's just a little box that you could plug USB or micro SD cards into them. They're not like a solution for a networkable thing, but if you just have like a certain display area, it's better than just like using the USB into the computer. Like, I'm sure many of us have tried, or into the computer, into the side of the TV, just to like scroll graphics and that kind of thing. So Jason asks, how do you balance vlog stuff and worship leader duties? Well, I think the thing with the vlogs, I love doing the vlogs, and I like doing this. Like, I feel like this is like real life stuff, and then I'm doing the other tech stuff just to kind of, help out whenever I can. But the vlog stuff, I'm really just trying to document the journey. So it's kind of, whatever happens that day. I might have a thought, but usually I've kind of got it mapped out in my head. And so when I came back from my sabbatical, I thought, and I've been here 10 years and I've got some stuff captured from along the way, but I'd love to document the journey more. And so that's what I've been trying to do, is just capture things along the way. And we have a lot of fun with it. My team, we enjoy just getting to hang. So, oh my goodness, Kyle Mottinger. Hey man, it's your high school classmate from Lower Alabama. Man, me and Kyle grew up at First Baptist Chickasha, doing everything together. So man, it's good to hear from you. Hopefully you've not become a Roll Tide Alabama fan. I can't believe you would ever turn away from Boomer Sooner, but I don't know. Hopefully they haven't gotten to you. So that's cool. It's great to see you, Kyle. What other questions do you guys have? We're going to jump into some live stream reviews here in just a minute. But if you have any more questions, let me scroll around here for just a second and make sure I didn't miss any. Okay, it looks like that's all that I've seen so far. So, before we do our live stream reviews, let's go into a little section of the live stream that I like to call Get Off My Church Lawn.
What's all that racket?
If it's not from the Broadman, I don't even sing it.
They just don't make music like they used to.
Well, welcome to the segment of the live stream where we find out if I'm becoming an old man. This whole thing about Get Off My Church Lawn, it started because, you hear some new music on, like, say it's a Spotify playlist for New Music Friday for Christian music. And, I don't want to become that guy who thinks, what is this newfangled music? They call this worship music? And so basically in this segment of the live stream, I look at and kind of break down and react to, it's a reaction video of the newest banger that's come out. Every week on YouTube, there's multiple great worship songs being released. And I also, as I continue to lead worship, I don't want to be that guy who's like, I just don't think that's congregational. But then it turns out like that really is connecting with people. But just because it's how I grew up in a different way, or I like a certain style of music, I think it won't work. And so, we'll just react to these together. And so today we're going to be looking at a song called The Table that literally just came out, I think 12 hours ago from Worship Together. It's by Johnathan Traylor. And I listened to the first basically verse and chorus of the song, and I thought this would be a good one for us to take a look at. So let's listen to a little bit of The Table by Johnathan Traylor. I don't even know who Johnathan Traylor is. Do you guys know who Johnathan Traylor is? Once again, maybe I'm just really behind on things. So here it is, Worship Together, Johnathan Traylor. Piano sounds great. All right, so first thing I'm just going to comment on is, once again, here we have the same setup that everybody's kind of like loving. One giant top light with a huge scrim above everyone, with a keyboard and looks like maybe a sample pad.
There is a table filled with the best food.
There is a table filled with the best food. Okay. Interesting.
Can you hear the Father calling?
How did this video director, how did he get away with wearing that hat frontwards? Because you can't ever see people's eyes. It must be because it says Worship Together on it.
There's a seat just for you, and
I really like the lyrics. Man, I actually have a song idea, song start, if you will, that's on my notes. That's all about this idea of like how there's room at the table, that all are welcome. And man, they've got some good lyrics on this one, and it makes me think. I don't know. Let's keep listening.
All are welcome at the table. There is a place just for you. No condemnation at the table. There is a place just for you.
All right, so chorus is really simple. No condemnation at the table. There is a place just for you. Yeah, it's really good. I like it.
Just for you. Oh, yeah.
Boom.
This is the table of new beginnings. These cups are full of love, and it's never ending.
All right, so whenever I listen to this song, immediately I think, like, this is a communion response song. Like, this would be so good for that. And I feel like that's something that I'm always searching for. We don't do the Lord's Supper that often because we're a Baptist church. But a lot of churches have a communion response song every week. And so I think this would be perfect for something like that. That's what this message is all about.
And at this table,
What? Hold on, I got to hear that again.
and at this table,
That was good.
there are no orphans,
No orphans.
just a loving Father and His sons and daughters.
Man, that's good. They have some good voices.
All are welcome at the table. There is a place just for you. No condemnation at the table. There is a place just for you.
All right, so I like evaluating these kind of more scaled back acoustic introductions of the song, if you will, because I really believe, like, if a song can stand alone with just a piano and a guy hitting a tom sample on a sample pad with a shaker in one hand, if it's a good song at that level, then it can be a good song at whatever instrumentation that you add to it. And of course, these people have amazing voices, but the melody is really simple. So I don't know. Let's see where it goes.
All are welcome at the table. There is a place just for you. Come on. At the table, there is a place just for.
I've noticed a lot of gospel singers doing that, and I've never heard it before, like a year ago. They'll kind of insert the next line before, and I feel like it's a Maverick City Music thing. If you listen to Maverick City Music, they'll kind of sing the upcoming line.
Just for you. You're welcome at the table. All are welcome at this table, yeah, yeah.
All right.
You're welcome at this table. Say, leave your shame.
He like knew where it was going, like, and he even spoke it. Leave your chains. It just felt right. Leave your chains.
At the door. You won't need it anymore. Yeah. And hold your head up high. This is the start of your new life.
I don't know, man. This song, it's gonna get put on my little Spotify playlist of potential new songs. Sometimes great singers like this make a good song a great song, and then you try to do it and it just doesn't work. So But I don't know, lyrically, melodically, song structure, the lyrics, it's pretty good. And I feel like that's kind of the vibe that more worship music is moving, is back to this somewhat gospel-y feel. I don't know. So, hey, we got a super chat from Philip. He says, just want to say thanks for the info on the Wire Light cable cam. Installed one last week for service. Need some tweaks, but people loved it. Philip, you are my first super chat ever. You go down in history, and that is awesome. So if you need more help with that, send me a message and maybe I can help you. But dude, that's awesome. Guys, what do you think? Do you love that song? Do you hate that song? What do you rank it on a scale of 1 to 10? I give that a solid, first listen through, a solid 9. Yeah, that's really good. Really good stuff. Well, all right, guys. I think it's time for a little live stream review. So we have 2 streams that we're going to review in the next 20 minutes, and I need your help. Like, if you are a worship and tech guy, let's chime in and let's help each other at these other churches and give them some pointers and tips. So let me pull up my info here on this first church that we are going to be reviewing. And it is a church from Alaska. This is... Where are you at? Northgate, Alaska. Caleb Gall submitted this one. If you want to submit your live stream, just click that link in the description. He says that they are using currently 3 iPhone 6Ss through Switcher Studio. 6Ss, yeah, man, I carried a 6S for about 4 years, so not a terrible camera. The iPhone cameras have come a long way from the 6S. Like this 11 Pro, I've actually used this for things professionally. So they used 3 of those going into Switcher Studio, mixing the audio through Logic, so software. They're going to be moving to an ATEM switcher, and they want maybe Sony a6400s soon. So before we start their live stream, I will say, if you're looking at the Sony a6400s, I would recommend go ahead and looking at the new Sony ZV-E10s that came out. It's the same sensor, but it's just a newer technology, newer camera, and it has some strengths over the a6400s, in my opinion. So I'll link to those in the description of this video. Anytime I link to something, it's going to be an affiliate link. That just helps me make doing things like this worthwhile, because it helps me feed my children when you click on that link. So let's look at Northgate, Alaska's stream, and we will see they wanted the most help with cameras and angles and things like that. So here's Northgate, Alaska's stream. All right, so I kind of started in the middle of their stream here where I found a part where the band was kind of really kicking in. So something I noticed before we kind of delve into more of the audio stuff is that they've got 3 camera angles, right? 3 iPhone 6Ss. This iPhone doesn't look bad. So I don't know if you're using Filmic Pro to do this into your Switcher Studio, or Switcher Studio gives you some control over the image, but it's not bad. Like, I'm not seeing a ton of overexposed stuff, so that's good. One thing I noticed at the beginning of your stream that I'm going to keep saying this to people is that establishing shots are really an important thing. So right now we've been on this shot quite a long time, and you have 3 cameras. So I would up the switching a little bit. Let's listen.
Sing his praise aloud. Awake my soul.
I do like this angle. It's like that medium shot of a band. It just kind of shows the whole band from the side. That's good. They've got 2 other camera angles. They do have a wide from the back of the room and then kind of a medium from the middle. So let's see if it goes to that here in just a minute.
Here's the sound. There is a sound that changes things. The sound of his people on their knees.
right, so overall the audio and Logic that you're mixing, I think it sounds pretty good. You got a nice reverb on her voice. Instrument wise, I like that the acoustic is not out front. A lot of churches do that. They'll put the acoustic like way out front, and really we're a rhythmic instrument. Pianist does a really nice job. I'm not sure, is that guitarist in the back an electric guitarist, or is he playing bass? I can't tell. It looks like a bass guitar. I don't think you have an electric guitar. I'm looking at his tuning pegs. It's definitely a bass guitar. So we've been on this shot a long time here. I'm not sure why we aren't switching, but I would just encourage you on a couple things. Even if you have only 3 cameras, there's some software that you can use where you can create multiple zoomed in, cropped in things. If you're doing it, I don't know, Switcher Studio can do that. You might think about that. Also, we don't have any lyrics on screen. I don't know how important that is to you guys, but I think it's important. We're trying to encourage people to not just be spectators when they're watching, and we want them to engage and actually participate, and it's hard to do that if you don't know the words. I don't know how many people are actually singing along at home, but if you can see the words, which I see the words on the screen there, but it's hard to see in this camera angle. Even like if I'm watching a TV show, like a lot of times I'll have the subtitles on just because I can actually understand it better rather than just listening. So I would encourage you to look and see how you can do that. We use key and fill, but you could just probably get away with a Luma key sending what you're sending onto the screen. All right, let's fast forward around here and see if I can find. Okay, so here's kind of their middle shot that we're seeing. I'm not going to play it. I'm just going to talk through some thoughts. So for this shot, it's not quite showing the whole band from the front. And if you see there, it's actually not level. So maybe even just checking, your level. Look at the top of the screen. A lot of times you can kind of tell that way by the mounting of the screen. And make sure that's level. Obviously, I think you got a center aisle here and people kind of standing off to the side. That's fine. So that's not a bad angle. There was a spot where I saw that you had a wide angle. And I would say I like to start our songs and end our songs, there we go, on a shot like this. So I call this an establishing shot. It's showing the full room. It's showing like, where are we? And then you can kind of go between those other 2 cameras. Maybe it's just, at the verse, it starts on one camera. At the chorus, it goes to another camera. If you want to take this to the next level, yes, doing an ATEM with some other mirrorless cameras will help you a lot. And maybe the ATEM Mini Extreme would be a good solution for you guys. Adding a drum cam or somebody that is able to actually move around a little bit and get different shots would be great. So that's kind of my initial thoughts. I mean, thank you so much for what you're doing in Alaska. That's so cool. And I think you guys are on the right track. So hopefully that helps you out. And if you were there in the comments, let us know. Hopefully you were watching this today. So here's a comment from Extreme Sports, and maybe this will help. He says you can make lyrics in Switcher Studio also. I'm not familiar with Switcher Studio. I've never used it. Is that the one that's like you have the wireless devices for each and it sends it back? I thought that was Sling Studio. I don't know. But he says you can do it in there. So maybe look into doing that. Maybe even just sending an NDI feed over from ProPresenter into it if you have the ability to do that. Let's look at one more live stream today. And this is from my buddy Josh. Let me just share with you some of his specs. If I can find you here in the Google Forms. All right, this is Frisco Bible Church, and they've got a lot of gear. So that church in Alaska didn't have much gear. They were using some iPhones, doing a great job. Audio is way more important than video, so good job on getting a good mix. This is the gear that they have in Frisco. This is in Texas, if you don't know where Frisco is. They run 7 cameras. He's got a couple of the JVC G-Wide 650s. They're on tripods. Then he's got another 650 on a dolly. Ooh. Then he's got another JVC 600 on a monopod left of house. And then a Panasonic, just a static wide shot, a GoPro on the keys, and then a Handycam on a slider on the drums. And that all runs through a ATEM, it looks like 2ME. And then they do their audio in a separate broadcast room on a Midas Pro 2. So these guys are like what a lot of churches I think are striving to kind of get to as far as gear. So he wants the most help with just like directing, shot composition, pacing, things like that. So let's look at their stream and see. This is the exact moment that he wanted me to start the stream at. So we may be mean and go back and look at other things too.
I sought the Lord, and he answered me and delivered me
Sounds good.
from every fear. Those who look on him are radiant, they'll never be ashamed.
I'm thinking it's the monopod.
This poor man cried, and the Lord heard me.
Okay, so this is the Sony Handycam on the slider. It actually doesn't look bad. It matches pretty well. So I don't know if you had the ability to color temp match it or whatever, but not. I mean, I wouldn't have thought it was a Handycam. Let's see about the slide if it's fast enough.
And save me from my enemies. The sun
I like the movement that you're adding to that camera. Anytime you have those cameras that have zoomable control on the handle, take advantage of it. You know, do some panning, some slow zooming in and out.
of God surrounds his saints. He will deliver them. Will deliver.
All right, so we got this piano shot that the mic stand is kind of like the main thing. And I know a lot of pianists prefer a certain side for the mic stand. I like that you're kind of showing out into the audience with this shot, kind of that perspective. But if she will allow you to move the mic stand to the other side, I think that would be better. I like that you're showing all of her. Either do like what you're doing or come in really close with your GoPro to like just the hands.
Magnify the Lord with me.
I like the slow zooms.
Come exalt his name together, glorify.
All right, so the drum slider, I don't know if that's max speed, Josh, but if it isn't, like try speeding it up all the way. It's a nice shot, but I think it could be more dynamic if it's faster, if you can make it faster. I'm going to comment on a couple other things and we'll keep watching. Skin tones. So I'm not sure how y'all are key lighting people, but if you look at everybody's faces here, they're all a little different skin tone. I mean, they are different skin tones, but I'm saying you can kind of see purpley, magenta, more of a natural skin tone on the lead singer. Are they other guys being lit with other things, or is that maybe color wash that's just kind of spilling onto them? That's not that big a deal. I just prefer, I don't care about the backlight, like hair light and stuff being a different color, like an RGB. I prefer the front to try and get matched up to more of a natural skin tone. So, you know, something to think about. That's great. Yeah.
Oh, blessed is he who hides in him. Oh, fear the Lord.
All right. So I really do like how you're doing the slow zoom in and outs, and you kind of got it mapped out where you're not going to similar shots in a row, which is something a lot of guys don't think about. Maybe they'll be on a frame of, the singer this way, and then they'll go to a different camera and it's a similar frame. I'm trying to train our guys about that even. So I like that. I think something that really you guys would help you is going like full roaming camera with one of these. Like take it off the sticks, take it off the tripod thing with the link control, and slap a wireless, Teradek unit on it and roam around the worship center. Let's watch a little more.
All you saints, He give you everything, give you everything. Magnify the Lord with me. Come exalt His name together, glorify the Lord.
All right, what do you guys think? What tips would you give Josh and his team about camera, composition, timing? I like how on this song, at least, it kind of flows with the song. You're switching quick enough with the dissolves. On this song, it's slow enough that you can get away with dissolves. I'm not a big fan of using dissolves. I prefer just hard cuts, but for a song like this, it kind of fits, and the pacing is good. He did respond and said, talking about his pianist, she won't, LOL. Talking about the moving the mic stand to the other side. Okay, so if she won't move that mic stand, then I would say move the camera shot to something else, either on the other side of the piano, and maybe it shows like your scrim backdrops behind it, something like that. Or maybe you upgrade that camera to something else other than the GoPro with interchangeable lenses, to where you can have a little more freedom as far as framing of that shot. A lot of times you can do a tighter focal length and avoid things that are kind of in your way, So, he also said that they've got some wireless units back ordered, have been for 6 months. Dang. Man, that is crazy. I've heard a lot about that recently. Just people not even be able to get soundboards even. I guess it's just like this global chip shortage thing, maybe. I don't know. He said, Extreme says maybe a different font on the lyrics, but it does look really good. Yeah, so here's the lyrics. They're pretty legible. Let's see, are there any shots where they get lost? Because you're not doing any shadowing or boxing. It looks like most of your stuff is kind of dark in the lower third, so you should be able to get away with it like you have it. Hey, there's the static super wide shot. Okay. It looks like you trained your camera ops pretty well, man. And they're not ever having to do any focus pulling, though, right? I'm assuming with the cameras you're using. Audio-wise, it's really pretty good. I feel like at first I wanted a little more like room mic mix, but
Let us bless the Lord every day and night, never-ending praise.
yeah, it's pretty good, man. All right. Any other thoughts, guys, that you would throw out there for Josh? Vincent says, love the camera movement that's being used. Like to see more natural skin tones, front key lighting. Josh says, yep, they're using I don't know ever how to say that, Montserrat. Gone back and forth over time, a few different fonts. Yeah. Cameras don't have enough focus range to really use that feature well. Yeah, so that's fine. I mean, totally. That makes it one less thing they have to worry about. So if you just set focus and then they're just worrying about zooming and composition and that kind of stuff. I didn't really notice any weird things where like people were in the lower thirds of the video, or let me just scroll around here and see. It looked like the times they were on the lower parts of the screen, you were maybe focused on a light fixture and then kind of coming down at them. I'll show you one shot that I really do like that you had. If I can find it. Okay, don't move. This right here. I love the way you're using the mesh aluminum screening behind her as a backdrop and throwing some color up there. You know, that kind of shot looks great, man. I would say I avoid using 3 lines. You know, if you can stick to 2 lines. I know it's not always possible just based on the song, but as far as the lower thirds go. So, yes, good job, Frisco Bible Church. You guys are awesome. And if you weren't on the stream earlier, I got to meet those guys last week. They came up, said hey. So, it was a pleasure. Let's see. Let's end this stream out by just doing some Q&A time. So I would love just to chat a little bit with you guys before I have to go and get some other work done. But what questions do you have? Drop them in the comments and let's chat. This is somebody thought that I was creating my own merch. No. If you want this hat, I don't know what the deal is about, like why we make graphics without vowels in it now, but for some reason we like it. So this is Art of Homage. Homage. So if you want some of their stuff, they have the ones that are like Mercy, MRCY. So I don't know. It's a good hat though. It's really good. And maybe I will make some merch. The use the tools, don't be one. I gotta make a funny little graphic for that. Yeah, Rob had a good suggestion. That was one thing that we didn't have as much of, which is kind of why I brought attention to that one shot of the girl, was just close-ups of the people leading the songs. You know, having that, the different levels of focal lengths, I think helps. You know, having a really tight, medium, wide, to be able to bounce between is good. So good thought, Rob. Yeah, I agree. Joshua says, can you please review the Behringer XR18? Sure, let's do it right now. The Behringer XR18, is that the older Behringer? Or is that the new one? XR18. XAir. Yeah, okay. Vincent with the super chat. Thanks so much for all you do for the worship community. The Sunday vlog has become my Sunday go-to for advice. Vincent, you're the man. I appreciate you. Hey, you've been around a while, so thank you. That means a lot. I love getting to do the vlogs and just share my heart a little bit with you guys. This is the X. So yeah, I've been in some churches where they're using these. From what I know, they work great in settings where you can't have a sound guy, like a soundboard, out in front, because you can just use your tablet and they're rack mountable, that kind of thing. Why can't I just find what it looks like? Come on, Behringer. Horrible website. See, this is what I was thinking you were talking about, because I was in a church last week doing a consult, and they actually had one of these old ones, the XAir X18, that you just like sit your tablet here in the middle, and then you've just got your inputs. And it's not a bad console, but it doesn't have the ability to do AES 50 and control like monitors and stuff off their other little pods. So I thought that's what you were talking about. So the new one, I'm sure, is way better. Will I review it? That's my review. I don't know anything about it. So I mean, we use a Midas M32 and I love it. And so I'm definitely a fan of like that environment with the Behringer stuff, like most churches are. I mean, there's the new Allen and Heath SQ series that everybody's kind of raving about, but I think for most of the smaller churches, like there's really nothing wrong with an X32 still, or some of these rack-mounted versions of the X32 or the X Air. So yeah, do any of you guys use that unit that you can offer advice? Do you think that's worth it? Yeah. What other questions you got? We got about 5 more minutes here, so let's chat. It's always funny when we do these live streams. I feel like the first 20 minutes, I don't know if it's a YouTube thing or what, but there'll be a lot less people on here. And then 30 minutes in, people start kind of hopping on. So if you didn't catch the stuff at the beginning of the stream, the worship and tech news, the get off my church lawn segment, you can always go back and listen to that. I try to go in and add the show notes, like, so you can click on whatever section. You don't have to scroll through the whole thing. And any of the stuff we've talked about, any of this gear, I'll link to it in the description. And so, you can find it easily. Vincent says he owns the XR18. It's fantastic for smaller venues, super portable. It's done through the iPad. Yeah, okay. Or PC and Mac. Price point is great as well. Then John Mark, what's up, brother? He said he's used the XR18, great for mobile rigs, outdoor gigs, and that he also has the XR12, good for little acoustic stuff. Yeah, I don't know. They're hard to beat, I feel like. A lot of people were trying to use those. Was it PreSonus that was trying to copy them and do the same thing? But I don't know. I just think the Behringer stuff has gotten so like user-friendly and reliable, and the value that is in them as far as like what you get for what you pay is so high that it's hard to recommend other things. So I would definitely say if you're going to use, one of the limitations at one of the churches I was doing a consult at was their frustration was they were trying to use an XR18, but they had a PC, but they didn't have a touch screen. And so they hated trying to mix with a mouse, So if you're going to go that route, either use an iPad, which is what I would say to do, or get a touchscreen monitor, I guess. Yeah. So Blessings is my name. Blackmagic Studio Camera 4K Pro review. They look like neat little cameras. I've definitely looked into them and watched a lot of other people's takes on them. For us in our setting, they don't really interest me. The only reason I would buy that camera for our setting is because I don't care about tally light preview. That would just confuse my pastor. He'd be like looking at it and getting distracted. We don't use the talkback feature because we only have 2 roaming guys, and we have headsets that work great for that already. We're already a micro 4/3 system. The only reason I would get that camera is to have servo lens options. And since they made it a micro 4/3 lens mount, you're so limited. There's like 4 or 5 lenses out there, and none of them are any good. So I probably would never go that route for our system that we have currently. If I was starting fresh, could I see maybe doing that? Yeah, maybe so, because they work so hand in hand with your ATEM. But I don't care about live shading and adjusting exposure on the fly. Like, we're not in a setup where we have somebody doing that, and we are in a controlled environment. Like, not that much changes. So I'm not real worried about that. It's cool that everything can run over one Ethernet cable. That's kind of neat. And it looks like it matches up pretty much with the Pocket 4Ks. So maybe you get, a Pro, a couple of Pros there at the back, and then run Blackmagic 4K Pockets in other areas. I still think, though, that for most churches, it's so much easier to just get one of these Panasonic Lumix cameras or a different mirrorless brand, and out of the box, they're able to get a better picture than having to mess with loading in LUTs, or I know it's got some built-in like Rec 709 assignment stuff. That's just my opinion. And also, I'm all about multi-purpose at my church is another reason I would not get the Studio camera 4K. I don't have the budget to be able to allocate to just have like that's just going to sit in this one spot and only do that thing. Like we need to be able to take it out and capture footage at our night at the park, or we're doing testimonial videos in another area of the church, announcement videos. So that's why I love things like the GH5 that have the stabilization built in, and the 4K 60, and they're $1,300. So that's my thoughts as of now. If someone wants to send me one to test, yeah, I'd look at it. Joshua, sir, can you teach us how to mix for live stream? I can. I have a video on my channel, actually. It's called How to Create a Broadcast Audio Mix, I believe. So if you just search on my channel, Broadcast Audio, you will find it. And I go through how we build our broadcast stream mix. We don't have a separate room with another mixer and all those kinds of things that people in an ideal world might do. Ours is not even manned at all during a stream. So there's definitely positives and negatives to that. But it's worked for us pretty well. I mean, there's weeks here and there where it's like, the vocals weren't quite loud enough or whatever. But so watch that video and I kind of go through that. Justin asks, on our Facebook live stream a few weeks ago, we had a person commenting profanity. How do I prevent this from happening? How do you prevent it from happening? And this was on your Facebook stream. Well, I'm pretty sure, hopefully you have people monitoring the chat and you're not just like letting it go, and just like hitting on air and then nobody's really interacting on the stream. So we have a chat host that is doing it through Restream. The chat plugin, we stream through Restream. We stream through Restream. That's hard to say. But I'm sure on Facebook and YouTube, like you can mute people. So that's what I would do, is probably just click the little dots next to their name and either block or mute them, but also message that person and, send them a message about why you did that, and, ask if there's anything you can do for them individually, pray for them somehow, and just take that off of chat basically. But, yeah, so Blessings has another question. She, I don't know, he or she, I'm not sure. It's just Blessings. That can go either way. Can you recommend an audio interface? It depends on what you're wanting to do. So there is a new interface that has some, I think, DSP stuff maybe built into it that just came out not too long ago from, I think it was PreSonus, actually. It's just a little 2-channel, but it's got some stuff that you can do that's kind of cool. I'll link to that in the description as well. And I just use, I don't have it sitting here. I just use cheap little Tascam ones usually. I've had a bunch of different ones, but just little Tascam 2x2s. We had one that was like a 16-channel Tascam. They all work. I mean, it depends on like how good of an interface do you want. I mean, you can spend a lot of money getting an Apogee Duet or whatever. I mean, so that's it's always starts with what is your budget, right? And then you kind of go from there. What can you do within that budget? Joshua says, love from, is that the Netherlands? I don't know what that flag is. Tell me where you're from, Josh. Maybe you did earlier. Sorry. Julian, yeah, the MFT mount is really limiting. They even offer zoom and focus handles, but you can't really utilize them since there's no MFT power zoom with a constant aperture. Amen. Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm not sure. And that's what everybody's been saying is like, why did they do this? Maybe they know something we don't know. Maybe they're like, they know that like there's a little slew of 2 or 3 lenses that's about to be released that will be perfect for that camera. But I find that hard to believe. And you can't use before lenses and that kind of thing with adapters because it's a smaller image circle. So you need some type of other, usually we use like Metabone speed boosters, where you're taking a larger image circle and shrinking it down to a micro four thirds, and that works. But you can't take a smaller one and like, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know of a way to do that. So, oh, Josh from India, awesome. I wonder what time it is in India. Thank you for hopping on the stream though. That's awesome. Okay. We're going to just wait here for a second. If I don't see any other chats, we're going to wrap it up for today. I've got some other great videos in the works, and I really, I know a lot of you guys are tech guys, and that is a large part of my job. I'm the worship and media arts pastor, and so I am all over all things tech, but really my heart for this channel is one that I'm helping both sides of the table there. So some of the future videos are going to be maybe a little more worship pastor centric, but then also other stuff for worship tech. And so that's kind of my heart, is helping guys like myself who are kind of having to do it all, and just really just sharing the journey along with you guys. So yeah, look out for the upcoming stuff, and I really appreciate those of you who super chatted. That's really cool. It blows me away that I'm able to help people across the globe, and it also makes me realize like there's a responsibility that comes with me like telling you stuff and worship thoughts. Like I better not just be being dumb. So yeah. So guys, thanks for hopping on the live stream today. It was a blast. And if you're enjoying these live streams, if you like me to do these things and you want more of that, let me know. What do you enjoy the most? It's fun to do. It's fun to get to kind of have some community here with you guys. So I really appreciate you. Remember, we can do a lot of great things. Let's do it all for the right reasons. We'll see you in the next one.